That's funny.
I think, actually.
I was gonna take a chance and have this over at the district office, but I thought, yeah, we'll probably have more than 6 or 7 people that would wanna come. You never know.
Convenient for me, just a short walk from my office.
It's true. See, there was reason. A good reason. Okay, I've got 5 o'clock. You got 5 o'clock? Mm-hmm. Jamie, do you have 5 o'clock?
I do.
Okay. Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. Use my bottle to gavel us in.
She called the meeting to order.
So we'll call for a moment of silence. Thank you. And can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jamie, can you do the roll call and introduction of our new trustee, please?
Storm, did you hear? Storm has the
Oh,
list.
Storm?
Can you do that, Storm?
Can you hear us, Storm?
I sure can. Amy Barney.
Here.
Marsha Cox.
Here?
Stephanie Lueris.
Here.
Julie Sassine.
Here.
Item 1.2, call for executive session. If the situation warrants, an executive session may be held during the meeting pursuant to ARS 38.431.03. Discussion for consideration of records exempt by law from public inspection, including the receipt and discussion of information or testimony that is specifically required to be maintained as confidential by state or federal law, or A3, for discussion or consultation for legal advice with the attorney or attorneys of the public body. Item 2 is call to the public. Do we have any calls to the public? Seeing none, we will move on to item 3, which is old business. Do I have a motion to approve item 3.1, approval of April 6, 2020 regular meeting minutes?
I move we approve the April 16, 2020 regular meeting minutes.
I wasn't here, so I don't think I should.
Okay, I'll second.
Yeah.
Call for the vote, please.
Storm, can you call for the vote?
Yes. Can you tell me who moved and who seconded?
Yeah, we can barely hear it, so it's hard.
Amy moved and Marsha seconded.
Thank you. For the vote, Amy Barney,
Yes.
Marsha Cox,
Yes.
Stephanie Lueris,
Yes.
Julie Sassine.
Yes.
Item 4 is new business. Item 4.1, do we have a motion to review medical claims appeal number 1? This is, well, is it an executive session if it's an open session, or is it just a review for medical appeal?
This one will be held in open session because it's all been redacted, and that was at the request of the member, who is not here, by the way.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve item 4.1?
I move we approve item 4.1.
I second.
Are you looking at me now? making sure it's my turn. So thank you, Madam Chair, trustees. This medical claims appeal is on behalf of a member whose mammogram was denied by Gilsbar, the third-party administrator, because it was done at a location other than mobile on-site mammography. After the closure of the clinic, the member selected a new primary care provider, and that provider referred her to Havasu Regional Medical for her routine mammogram. The medical plans prior to now through 6/30 all required that routine mammograms could only be provided through the on-site provider mom. That was in place for many years, and that restriction didn't change with the closure of the clinic. As such, Gilsbar properly denied the claim in accordance with the summary plan document. Member in her appeals material, which were included in your packets, indicated that she wasn't aware that the requirement for use of mom was still in effect, and that she didn't receive notification that the requirement was still in effect once the clinic closed, and she's requesting that the board reconsider the denial and pay the mammogram claim. As part of your packet of information, I did include the relevant sections of the summary plan document, and I also included some communications that were provided to employees with regard to the closure of the clinic, none of which indicated that the mammogram requirement had changed. The Trust Legal Counsel, Mike Hensley, is on the phone and can provide legal advice in executive session if you would need to do that. We could adjourn for executive to hear his legal opinion. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do you have any comments or questions?
Would there ever be an instance in which there would be coverage when somebody used a facility other than mom?
Yes, the summary plan document has language that allows for coverage of a mammogram at a hospital if a member's provider wrote a letter. It didn't have to have specific medical necessity. The language simply said that the doctor had to write a note that says they can have the mammogram at a hospital, and in which case, as long as that letter was provided, those mammograms would be covered.
So there wouldn't have had to been any kind of a medical reason to have it at the hospital, just the provider just writing a letter saying, I want my patient to have the mammogram at the hospital.
Correct.
Amy, do you have any questions?
Just to clarify, we never got a letter from a doctor?
That is correct.
And just to get this on the record, I work for Havasu Regional Medical Center, so I'm recusing myself from the discussion and the vote.
Thank you.
Mike, did you hear that? Julie Sassine recused because she works for Havasu Regional.
Okay, that's a good decision. Thank you.
Good decision. Thank
And
you.
one of the things that I noticed in going back and reviewing some of this information, and Jamie, thank you for providing the copy of the summary. You actually gave us page 18 of the summary plan description that was given. This was the summary plan description that was effective July 1st of 2019. It was a pretty comprehensive summary plan description, if I remember right, and I know that there was approval. I don't know exactly when it was mailed out, but it was a mailed copy of it, because that's the way we do it. And I remember the bill being $628 to send it. But I know that in reviewing that, it does say that the mobile on-site mammogram is the exclusive PPO provider, and it does say that a physician can write, that if the hospital, wants to be used, that can be done in lieu of mom. And I do know that that was also something that we discussed. And I also went back to the April 12th insurance benefit overview meeting that we actually had here in this, in the PAC. And luckily for me, it was only a 45-minute meeting because I watched it. And it was about minute 38, and we actually had a question come up about mammograms. And the answer was currently mom was still the exclusive provider unless there was some other reason, like diagnostic or whatever, where a provider wanted to use it, or if a provider wanted to send a doctor or a patient to the hospital. So there were multiple instances where that information actually was shared with all of the members of the trust. And Mom was never connected to the clinic, although I think there could have been instances where, and Amy, you can correct me if I'm wrong, maybe the mammogram, maybe the unit was parked in the parking lot there or something?
Yeah, Mom used to be parked in the parking lot of the clinic, and then it got moved, I think, to the high school football
Right.
field parking lot.
Right. But I guess that's hence the word mobile. But the point of it was, I guess, is that we did communicate multiple times that it was available and that it was exclusively with the service was only available through mobile on-site mammogram. But the other part, and I think to Stephanie's point, is that it seems to me that, and I guess one clarifying question I want to ask is, were the claims submitted in a timely manner, and were the appeals done in a timely manner?
Yes, the claims were submitted timely, denied timely. The member reached out with respect to appeal timely. She was given misinformation from Gilsbar initially about that being her last avenue of appeal was through Gilsbar.
Okay.
She reached out to me personally. I communicated with her via email, but yes, everything was done timely. The reason it's taken us this long to get here is just simply because we haven't met. It was the timing of when all of the documentation came together.
Right. So in whatever normal times are, if it was an instance where we were like kind of back-to-back, week-to-week, day-to-day kind of thing, and this was, we were doing this in a very fluid situation, if we had had an opportunity to go back to this member and say, could you, if, for example, this was me and I just called my doctor and said, well, could you just write a letter and say that, you directed me to go to the hospital, that could be requested to be reconsidered? Would that, I guess, anything can be reconsidered, I guess. But I guess at this point, it wouldn't be, trying to see how I want to word this. It would seem to me that if this was my claim, I would probably make the effort to go back and ask my doctor to write a letter saying I wanted my patient to go to the hospital, because our plan doesn't say I want my patient to go to the hospital for, and it has to have a medical reason to do that. Does that make sense?
Correct.
Have we ever accepted post-dated letters, like after the fact?
Yes, and in many occasions, we've had these exact scenarios where, in fact, I've dealt with countless. I mean, I honestly can't even count the number that have been denied for this very reason. They've contacted me. I've explained what the rules are. They've gone back and gotten a letter and then had those mammograms reprocessed and paid.
I wouldn't want to pay that bill. And if it means contacting a doctor like that, I mean, only because, we have the summary plan description. It was done, all of our employees received all the information, the same way that everybody got it the same way, multiple times. But the provision in our agreement does give every member the opportunity to come back and work with the consultant to get something like this reconsidered. Is that?
Yeah, so are we out of a time frame for that to happen?
I don't believe we're out of the time frame because everything was filed timely. Obviously, Gilsbar would have to have the final say on that, but as trustees, you could direct that if a letter were to be provided, that they could process the claim.
Can we ask for an opinion from Mr. Hensley about that?
Mike, did you hear that?
I'm hearing about every third word. It's so hard to hear through the chain here. But
So-
I understand the question was whether or not
Can you put that up to the mic again?
They
Sorry.
could go back and get a letter from the doctor, and if there was a letter, reprocess it through Gills Bar. And, I mean, if that's the process they want to go through, that would be appropriate. But what you have on the agenda tonight is your appeal. And so you would need to have a motion one way or another, whether you grant or deny the appeal or suspend, postpone the appeal pending, this other step.
Okay, can you repeat what he said, because I couldn't hear it?
He said that the options would be, that the matter before you is the appeal. So your options would be to either grant the appeal, deny the appeal, or postpone taking action pending this next step, and perhaps direct the member to try to obtain that letter.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions? Then I would move that we postpone the appeal until we give this member an opportunity to go back to her physician to have this letter drafted and submitted to the trust for consideration.
I second.
So Storm, we have a motion from Marcia to postpone action and request that the member get a letter from the doctor in an attempt to get this claim reprocessed. It was seconded by Amy, so we're ready for a roll vote.
Okay. And you said Julie recused.
That's correct.
Thank you. Amy Barney,
Yes.
Marcia Cox,
Yes?
Stephanie Luaris.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 4.2 is going to be one that we will, it's also medical claims for appeal. So we would need to, a motion to approve this and then also to go into executive session.
Correct. The appellant, I believe, is here. Are you my appellant? The appellant is here and has requested that this be heard in executive session, so you are correct, Madam Chair.
Okay, so the motion would be to move to go into executive session. Do you have a second?
A second.
What was the motion?
The motion was to go into executive session. Marcia made the motion, Amy seconded.
Thank you. Amy Barney,
Yes.
Marcia Cox,
Yes?
Stephanie Luaris,
Yes.
Julie Satsine.
I'm again going to recuse myself because I work for Havasu
Oh,
Regional
I'm
Medical
sorry.
Center.
Sorry, that's right. I forgot.
We are adjourned
you.
from regular meeting until we return from executive session.
Okay, so we're going to go walk into the exec room, okay? But I'm keeping you on the phone.
Okay.
All right, and you can join us, sir.
We are, call the regular meeting back to order at 5:49.
Go for it.
Do we have a motion?
Yes, I would like to make a motion that we postpone the appeal for item 4.1,
4.2.
or 4.2, to direct staff to work with the third-party administrator and not balance bill the member.
I second.
Who was the motion, Stephanie?
The motion was Stephanie. The second was Amy.
Amy second?
Yes.
Thank you. Amy Barney?
Yes.
Marcia Cox?
Yes.
Stephanie Luaris?
Yes.
Julie Sassoon?
Oh, she recused.
Nope, sorry. Yep, I'm saying it. Sorry.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure I understood what we just voted on, because we're going to postpone, we're going to direct the staff to work with the third-party administrator to negotiate a better deal with the hospital and ask that the patient not be balance billed. That's going to be the direction we're going to ask the third-party administrator to go.
That's correct.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So I'll be in touch with you directly and as this process moves forward.
And we won't have to wait, we can call a special meeting then, right? We don't have
Correct.
to wait till our next meeting, which is April. So, because whenever they get finished with however quickly that happens, we can call a special meeting and get that done pretty fast. So, okay, moving on to item 4.3, do I have a motion to approve item 4.3, approval of March, September 2020 financials?
I move we approve the March to September financials.
I second.
You back with us?
I know, I get to speak again.
So, Madam Chair, did you want a presentation on that, or are we just approving the financials? And I'm good either way, I'm just asking.
I think it would be a good idea to kind of review these since it's been 6 months. I guess more, maybe just a highlight.
Storm, would you like me to do that since I'm sitting here and you're there?
If that works for you.
It would be easier to hear you,
But
Jamie,
you're
I think.
probably easier to hear me, so I'll just do a quick overview.
All right, I was ready to, but I understand.
No, we're good.
Sorry, Storm.
She's probably thrilled she doesn't have to talk. So actually, our financials that I've provided in the packets and via a separate email for you consist of two things. One are the financial summaries, the monthly financial summaries that ECA provides that show the ongoing revenue and expenses from the plan. And then additionally, and I apologize, I don't remember if it was yesterday or today, I sent you the compilation statements that Mike Bonney, the CPA, prepared. Mike Bonney was not able to be here tonight. I will not be able to speak to his reports because they're not mine, and I'm not a CPA. However, he did indicate that if any of you have any questions at all with respect to those, that he would be more than happy to answer them via phone or email. And I'd be happy to facilitate, or you can reach out to him directly, whatever works for you. In terms of the actual financial summary, I'll focus on September. We did provide you with all of the reports from March forward. You'll notice in the financials that you've been receiving since July, the revenue, the budget is actually reflective of the incurred but not paid, the amount of money that we're expecting to pay out on the plan over the course of this run-out period. Revenue is basically nil. As you're aware, the district is no longer contributing money into the plan except for some minor we had some adjustments back and forth in the first month or so, and then subsequently we're just getting some really nominal interest amounts. And then we just have our expenses as expected with respect to claims, and then some general operating typically. So in the month of September, we paid $82,413 in medical claims. That actually brings our total for the year, let me just flip to the right. We estimated $506,000 would be paid out in claims during this run-out period. To date, we've paid out $126,500. So we're at about, running a little high for the year-to-date, but obviously that's going to smooth out as we go. As you can see, it's starting to trickle down as expected. We haven't had RX claims in quite a while, so those are basically done. We ended up paying about $24,000 in RX claims during the run-out. We also had a few dental claims, not much of that either. Excuse me, I was looking at the wrong column. In RX, we paid out just under $56,000. And then we also paid out about $29,000 in dental. So the one that's going to continue on, obviously, is the medical. We'll see those claims continue to trickle in, and we'll continue to monitor them. You will note on those year-to-date actual numbers, there are some negative numbers and even some positive, some payments that went out on both premiums and claims administration. Those were all related to census adjustments that got made after June. And so that's why you'll see we had to pay some of those providers and or take credits from those providers.
Okay.
You'll also note there was a payment for Chiron in the general operating area. We discovered actually quite a while ago that Chiron had not billed the trust for any of the services they had ever provided.
Right.
And so we finally got a bill, paid that, so that's why you'll see that number seems a little funky there. But they're all paid up and good to go. And then you'll notice in the general administration, if you look at the year-to-date actual, there's $31,363. The bulk of that was the run-out fees that were paid to Gills Bar in the amount of about $27,000 total. And that's good for 6 months of run-out. So starting January 1st, any claims that come in beyond that point will be paying a per claim fee of $21. So we really expect that the bulk of claims will be paid at that time. I think what's important to note is that the incurred but not paid estimate from the actuary is, flipping through really quick, $595,000. So we are well within those dollars. We think there's going to be plenty of money available, obviously, within those estimates to pay all of the outstanding claims and liabilities, in addition, obviously, to the surplus that is remaining in the fund, which we're estimating as of September at just about $3.8 million. Happy to answer any questions, or Storm can answer questions, if I misspoke.
So I have a question on the large claims. We've got 13 large claims that exceeded the 50%. So that's, and we're only expecting, what, 40,000 in reimbursement?
40,000 is remaining. Of
Remaining.
the 13 large claims, we actually exceeded those by $757,000 and already received $716,000 in reimbursement.
Gotcha.
So there's still an additional 41,000 basically that's outstanding.
And is that part of the incurred but not reported or not paid?
Stop loss reimbursements were calculated as part of that.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And so we're in October. I guess I'm just trying to think trajectory for incurred but not paid. I mean, are we kind of on the right track here as far as seeing these things get paid? I know it's going to start to slow down, but at some point, we're looking at $500,000 that we still haven't paid.
Well, those are estimates
Okay.
that Mike makes, and so Mike Shunning, the actuary.
Right.
So I think that it's possible that he was conservative.
He's pretty conservative.
There were also some administrative expenses that we initially thought were going to be paid that weren't.
Right.
We agreed to waive our fee,
Right.
which was in there, I think it was $19,000. It turned out we had expenses in there for prescription run out that they didn't charge. So
Okay.
there's a little bit of money that was saved there, but I think it's probably just a pretty conservative estimate by Mike.
Okay. So do you think that, like, when you're looking at all your surplus, the 3.7, that's probably not going to change?
I think that's probably going to be.
Plus or minus interest and
Sure,
more?
sure.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be pretty close to what we'll be able to turn back over to the district once this is complete.
Gotcha.
How much?
The 3.7, the surplus.
Any other questions? Ms. Stephanie? I'm good. Ms. Julie? I'm good. Okay. We will, thank you. We'll move on then.
You ready for the next one?
Item 4.4, approval of, did we already do that? No, we already did.
No. We just talked
No,
about it
we
a little
talked
bit,
about
but
Make a motion.
I guess
it's a
we'll-
great segue.
We'll like segue into that. Do I have a motion to approve, approval of incurred but not paid report of 6/30/20? I have a motion.
Make a motion to approve the financial report as presented.
I second.
That was Stephanie and Julie Storm.
Julie second?
Yes.
Thank you. Amy Barney?
Yes.
Marcia Cox?
Yes?
Stephanie Luares?
Yes.
Julie Sassine?
Yes.
And I'm sorry, for my clarification, was that approving the financials or was that approving the IBNP report?
That was the, I think you meant the
IBMP.
IBNP.
Okay.
You want us to restate that?
Financial?
That was IBNP. And did you want me to?
For financial?
So the motion that I heard was the IBNP. If that's not the item, then you might want to go back and revise the motion.
So we did have a motion from Amy that was seconded by Julie on the financials. I just don't think we did a roll vote on that. Would that be accurate?
Okay.
So do we want to do a roll vote on that as well?
We should, yes.
Storm, you're back up.
For financials?
Yes, for the
Amy
financials.
Barney?
Yes.
Marcia Cox?
Yes?
I didn't hear her.
Yes.
Stephanie Luares?
Yes.
Julie Sassine?
Yes.
Okay.
So now we need a motion on item 4.4, approval of incurred but not paid report.
I think that's the one we just did. Stephanie made that motion and Julie seconded, and then we did the roll vote.
Okay.
So if you'd like me to do a quick overview on that, I can. Otherwise, we can move on.
I think we kind of went
I
over
think
it.
we went through that. Unless anybody has any questions about it, I think we covered it in that small part of the other one. Does anyone have any questions on that?
Nope.
I think we can call for the vote,
Already done.
Yep, we did it.
and we're done. That was fast, man. We're moving light
Yay.
speed. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve update regarding LHS EBT wind down?
What was that?
We're just hold tight.
Item 4.5?
Do we need a motion for an update?
It's just an update. Do we need a motion for an update, Mike?
Actually, I don't think we do.
Yeah.
Item 4.5, update regarding LHS EBT wind down. Jamie, do you want to start off and?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair, trustees. We really just wanted to update trustees on the wind down process and the how the runout claims are processing. So as a reminder, the trust document actually mandates that the trust remains in existence for so long a period as it may be necessary to wind up its affairs. The period typically lasts 12 to 18 months, during which time any claims that were incurred are paid, and obviously any administrative expenses are paid as well. The trust board does remain in place during this period, as you know, because you're sitting here. And that's to oversee the fiduciary aspects of this wind-down period. Mostly that's just monitoring claims payments, the fund balance, which you're looking at every month as part of the financial summaries that we're providing to you, and also to hear appeals, which obviously today you heard too. In addition to the payment of those medical, prescription, dental, and vision claims, there were some administrative costs that were necessary, and we just talked about these, so I'm not going to belabor the point, but again, we paid Gilsbar $27,000, and I misspoke. After 12/31, it's $22 per claim. Chiron was paid $20,000 for all of their various services over the course of their contract. ECA again agreed to waive our fee. National Cooperative, the prescription folks, did not charge anything. We do have money set aside in there for any legal consultations or advice that are needed. I think we estimated that at $5,000 for the period, and so far we've spent about $653. All of the claims and fees are paid from those funds that are remaining in the fund. And then once the wind down period is completed, all of the remaining funds that are in the trust revert back to the district in accordance with, again, the trust document. And I know Mike will speak to that a little bit. Sorry, I didn't mean to put my paper on the on the phone so you couldn't hear. So according to the financial and bank statements that we have looked at for June 30, 2020, there was about $4.6 million in cash based on the incurred but not reported analysis that the actuary provided of $595,000. There appears to be more than sufficient dollars available to pay all of the outstanding liabilities of the trust, and we will continue to keep you posted as this rolls along.
Any questions?
I'm not sure if this is for you or for Mike. When the money does get returned to the district, what fund does that go to?
Well, actually, I have something to say about that before we get to that.
Okay.
So, one of the clarifying questions, and Mike, if after I make my comment, maybe you can jump in. In the body of your comment, one of the sentences that, well, it was the last paragraph, claims and fees paid from the funds remaining in the trust after 6/30/20. Once the wind down process has completed, any remaining funds in the trust will be used by the district to pay for benefits in accordance with the trust document. And I reached out to Mike Hensley, and understanding that Mike was not part of creating this trust document, which was restated on November 2nd, 2017. In section 13.05 remaining monies, in going over that, it seems like there is an opportunity, although we would need to have this document reviewed and revised or restated, I guess, that the dollars that we have that would be left, the 3.7 or whatever it happens to be, could remain in the LHS EBT trust and not moved into the NAEBT, because that would defeat the purpose of us being able to use them. But they would stay in the LHS EBT for the purposes of being used to pay premiums for our district members. But because the wording of this doesn't specifically say, it says benefits, but it also discusses insurance premiums, I think that there might be an opportunity for that language to be changed so that it's unequivocal, that we can utilize those dollars, if you will, during the wind down period, so that those dollars can be used in that way. Am I saying that right, Mike? Does that, or am I making sense?
Yeah, if you'd like me to, just to restate, so that provision in the trust agreement expressly states the following: upon termination of this trust, any and all monies remaining in the fund after the payment of all unpaid claims and or insurance premiums and other expenses and obligations of the trust shall be paid or used for the continuance of one or more of the benefits of the character herein above contemplated until such monies have been exhausted. As I indicated to Marcia, I didn't draft the language, but it was drafted for the district who was creating the trust. So the intent and purpose would essentially be what the district was intending with this. But I think it is contemplating that if you pay certain things that you're paying insurance premiums for part of the benefits being offered, in addition to self-funding payment for prescriptions and for medical care. So those would be the nature of benefits that have already happened, that it would seem logical that if there were money left and the decision was to now have benefits provided through this other trust, that contributions or premiums, whatever term you want to use, could be paid from that money that's remaining in your trust fund. That would be consistent. And the analogy I give is, what if when Lake Havasu City Trust decided to not be offering self-funded benefits again in July of this year, and they decided to go to a fully insured plan, it seems pretty clear to me that those funds could be used to fund that insurance premium, because that's the way they're now providing those benefits that had already been provided, which then is consistent with, well, if we choose a self-funding method through another trust, what really is the difference? And so it makes logical sense that that money could be used to pay the contribution or the premium, whatever term you use, for NAEBT. We'd want to confirm with the district that that is what they intend and would like. I think that, in fact, is what they've expressed to us. And if anybody thinks that we need to clarify the language in the trust agreement, then obviously the district has the authority to do that, because it's their document. But it seems clear enough that I think that could be a reasonable use of those funds.
Great. And I think, being able to protect those dollars, for me anyway, and I think that this board would probably agree, especially in this crazy time, I think for me, it just felt like it would be really important. I mean, we made the decision not to transfer these dollars into the NABT trust fund for the specific purpose that once it goes into the NA, if we had done that, then we would have completely diluted the opportunity to have those dollars earmarked for LHUSD members. And so by keeping them out and having the opportunity to have them unique to our district, because those are district dollars, and being able to use them for premium dollars, to me, that's the best of both worlds. And we don't know what next year looks like, although we kind of know what some of it's going to look like. But it just seems to make sense that if there's an opportunity for us to change this language, and I think we can work with Mr. Murray and get together, if we need to, with Mr. Hensley and Ms. Tosca, and just change that language. I don't think that it would be a hard change. I don't think it would be difficult to change that wording so that we can protect those dollars and leave them in the LHS EBT, and then just draw those funds as needed to pay premiums. I'm kind of looking at Mr. Murray to see if he's nodding his head. He's got a big yes nod on his, so that's good. Good.
So
Okay.
would changing this document go through the school board, since we're under the school board?
Mr. Hensley?
Did you hear that question?
I did not hear that at all.
The question was, if they end up needing to change the trust document, does that go through the governing board, or does that go through the trust board? Who does that?
That would be the governing board.
Right. But we could make a recommendation to the governing board, and then they would take that up with Tosca or with,
Tosca.
right?
Correct, yeah. I mean, recommendation, it's appropriate throughout here that you all can make a recommendation because that's what they're looking to you for, but it is, their document they drafted, so they would be the ones to vote to amend or feel satisfied, quite frankly, that the language they have covers the issue. It'd be up to them.
Well, we actually had a committee that created it, and then they adopted it. So I don't know if that makes a difference, but I guess ultimately it's their document that they signed off on. But actually, everybody on the EBT, the only people that signed this document were the EBT members.
Well, the school board members actually signed the document approving it, and then there was a signature by the trustees acknowledging to be bound by the obligations
that's
within
right.
it.
Didn't turn the pages enough. Yeah, the school board members signed it, and then the EBT members, yep, you're right. So everybody signed it. Okay.
So can we draft the language that we recommend to the governing board in the changes that we would like to
So,
see?
Did you hear that, Mike? The question was, could they draft language as a recommendation to the governing board?
We could, and I think, just so everybody knows that we have had some conversations with the school district staff to see what they want to do with the monies as this winds down. So I think what might behoove all of us is to have that conversation, and then from that, if there's some thought that we need to change the language, that you all could make that recommendation. But I do think, and Marcia, maybe that's something you do, or you and I can do that and talk with the school district and see if they are in line with what we're talking about, and then we could make recommendations from the trust as to modifications of that language if we think necessary.
I think that would be a good direction to go, that you and I meet, and then we'll meet with Mr. Murray and put that language together, and then we can. Mr. Murray, are you okay with that? Good. Board members, are you okay with that?
Absolutely.
That way we can protect those dollars.
Yep. Everybody's in agreement, so I'm sure we'll all be in touch.
Yay!
Excellent.
Okay. So, I guess I'm not, let's see. Do we need to make a motion that we're gonna do all of that, or we're just gonna, because that was just an update.
Right, I don't think you can make a
We
motion.
don't have to make a motion, so,
You can, there's not an
that
action
was
item
just a
on the agenda.
that was just a
So
conversation.
what we would do is we can have that just informal discussion and then come back and have an agenda item on the next meeting.
Can we have it before the next meeting, April? We could just do a special meeting?
We could do a special meeting. Yep. And the special meeting would just be for, to present that recommended language for trustee approval before it
Would
was
it be a
submitted to
work
the governing
session or a
board.
special meeting?
Did you hear that, Mike? Would it be a work session or a special meeting?
I think it'd be a special meeting.
Yeah,
If you're going to have an action item, it would have to be a special meeting.
Okay. All right.
You could do a work session, but then you'd have to follow it with a special meeting to be able to
Right.
have an open meeting
I don't
vote
wanna
on
do
that
that.
recommendation.
We'll just have a special meeting.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right.
All right, update. Okay. Item 4.6, updates and announcements.
Thank you, Madam Chair, trustees. I just have two really quick items, one of which is actually a moot point. But just to let everybody know, I think several of you know, but ECA, my firm, was recently acquired by Gallagher Benefit Services, a division of Gallagher. Really happy with the partnership, our enhancements in service. We're going through implementation right now, and let me just tell you, it's a lot. But very, very excited about the depth of resources and things that we're going to have at our fingertips now. So we're starting to learn more and more what we've got available to us. No changes at all to staffing, no changes to the way that we do business. which is great. So we feel like it's a win-win. We're operating currently as ECA, a Gallagher company, and come June 30, 2020, we will start to operate as Gallagher. And then my other item was on the compilation reports by GDK, which, as you know, you received. So that's a moot point, and we're good to go on that one. And I don't have anything further.
Well, I, for one, am thrilled for the progress that ECA has made over the years. I've known you guys for more than, well, actually, I'm a lot older than you guys, so I can say that. And I just am so proud of what you've been able to do from a small community like this to be able to, you know, have now that positioning power with an organization like Gallagher is just mind-blowing. And so I just congratulate you guys so much for that, and well done, well-deserved and well done.
Thank you. It's nice to still be able to live here and have that that kind of international and national support and backing. So
Yeah,
pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie.
yep, yep. You are now one of 44,000.
Exactly.
But we still know you by your first name.
That's right, still personal touch. Otherwise, I wouldn't be there.
There you go. Okay, I think we've got our next meeting scheduled for April 5th. Is it April 15th? Jeez,
Right.
terrible day. But more than likely, we'll have a special meeting to discuss the draft, and then we may have another meeting. But unless there's anything else, we can adjourn this meeting.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
That was Amy and Julie Storm.
What are they motioning?
To adjourn.
Amy and, I'm sorry, Amy and Julie?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Amy Barney?
Yes.
Marcia Cox?
Yes.
Stephanie Luaris?
Yes.
Julie Testine?
Yes.
We are adjourned.
Thank you, guys.